All right, welcome to your custom deep dive. You sent over some stuff on market expansion strategies, and we've got a real mix here, like classic marketing frameworks to like the newest digital things.
Yeah, it's a whole roadmap for how businesses can grow.
Yeah, with all the twists and turns and stuff. So our mission today is to unpack these strategies and see how they work, out there in the real world.
And the really cool part is we'll look at companies who've totally nailed these approaches.
Yeah, and the why behind their success, like what can we learn from that?
Exactly.
Perfect. So
Hmm.
you've probably heard of Ansoff's growth matrix. It's like the classic way to categorize these expansion strategies. And the first one, market penetration, fits right into that matrix.
Yeah, and that's all about really maximizing your potential in your current market before you go out and explore uncharted territory.
Right. Less risky, maybe.
Right. Potentially less rewarding though.
Okay, interesting. So a lot of people think market penetration is just selling more of what you already have.
Right, but it's more nuanced than that. It's about going deeper with your existing customers, like finding ways to get them even more engaged with what you're already offering.
So instead of just like blasting out marketing to everyone, you're really targeting the heart of your existing customer base.
Exactly. And a company that's like the master of this is McDonald's. Remember when they launched all-day breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
They weren't trying to get new customers. They were giving their existing breakfast lovers a reason to come back even more.
Like even later in the day.
Yeah, like who doesn't love a McMuffin at like 2 p.m.?
Right. They created a whole new occasion to crave a McMuffin. That's brilliant.
It is.
But what about a company like Coca-Cola? They're practically everywhere, right?
Yeah, they are.
So how do they penetrate further?
Well, they focus on that emotional connection with people. Like, remember the Open Happiness campaign?
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't a new drink. It was about that feeling you get when you have a Coke. Reinforcing that positive association.
Hmm.
It's powerful stuff, especially in a market that's already packed.
So it's about going deeper, not necessarily wider.
Yeah.
But what about a company like Netflix? They've had some serious competition lately.
Yeah, and the streaming wars.
Yeah. So how have they held their ground?
Well, they do a few things. They've put a ton of money into local content, like making shows specifically for different regions.
Mm.
And their pricing, they're really careful to keep it competitive, especially with all the new rivals popping up.
So they're using content and pricing to really solidify their position.
Exactly. Playing a little offense and defense at the same time.
Okay, so it's about actively finding ways to grow within the space you already own.
Exactly.
Now, what happens when a company wants to explore like new horizons? That's where market development comes in, right?
Yeah, it's like the next level up.
Yeah.
Instead of going deeper, you're going wider.
And that can be either geographically or by reaching new customer segments.
Right. Starbucks is a great example of this, especially in Asia.
Oh, yeah.
Their approach in China and India was completely different from the U.S.
I've heard they even tailored the drinks to local tastes.
Absolutely. They knew what works in Seattle might not work in Shanghai. They changed the menu, the store designs, even the marketing.
Wow, so they really leaned into that whole localization thing. But wouldn't that be super expensive? How do they keep the brand consistent while also adapting?
That's the challenge with market development. It's a balancing act. And it's interesting to contrast Starbucks with how Nike does it.
Oh, how so?
Well, Starbucks went high-end, positioning themselves as this aspirational brand, a status symbol. But Nike, in emerging markets, they focused on affordability, sponsoring local athletes, making it accessible.
So two totally different approaches, both successful. It seems like the key is to truly understand that new market.
You got it. It's
Yeah.
not one size fits all. You got to do your research,
Mm-hmm.
look at the culture, the economics, and then decide how to approach it.
Okay, we've talked about going deeper, going wider, but what about venturing into uncharted territory? That's where things get really interesting. I'm talking about diversification.
Yeah, and it can be a bit of a tightrope walk, especially when a company moves into areas that are totally new.
But it can also be a huge GE win. Like Amazon. They're like the poster child for diversification.
They are. Think about it. They started as an online bookstore.
Mm.
And now cloud computing with AWS Echo devices, Prime Video.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they've done.
It's like they never stop experimenting.
Right.
So there are two main types of diversification, right? Related and unrelated. What's the difference?
So related diversification is all about leveraging your strengths to move into markets that are kind of adjacent, like Amazon with cloud computing. They already had this massive infrastructure for e-commerce. It made sense to use that to create AWS.
So they use what they were good at to venture into a new but somewhat related market.
Exactly.
But unrelated diversification, that's totally different, right?
It can be. It's about going into areas that have very little connection to your existing business. It's riskier for sure, but the rewards can be massive.
So a company might do this to reduce their reliance on a single market or to capitalize on a new opportunity. It's like spreading your bets.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. And diversification isn't just about adding new products or services. It can also be entering new geographic markets, developing new technologies, or even buying other companies.
Okay, so we've covered going deeper, going wider, and venturing into the unknown. But now let's talk about something that every company needs to think about: branding and positioning.
It's not just logos and taglines.
Right. It's about creating that lasting impression in the minds of your customers.
Absolutely. Building trust, influencing their decisions. It all starts with a strong brand.
We all know the big ones like Nike's Just Do It and Apple's Think Different, but it's more than just catchy slogans, right?
Right. Take Nike. Their slogan is great, but it's the storytelling they do, particularly focusing on athletes.
Yeah.
That's what makes it real. They don't just tell you to just do it. They show you what it means through these amazing stories of determination and overcoming challenges.
So they're using storytelling to connect with their audience on a deeper level. What about a company like Apple? They're known for that minimalist design, but how does that translate to their overall brand?
Well, their Think Different campaign was huge, but their brand is much more than that. It's that minimalist design you see in every product, every ad, their stores. It's like this message of simplicity and functionality, and it appeals to a specific kind of customer.
Right, it's like they've created a tribe of people who just get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate goal of branding, creating a sense of belonging, a community of people who identify with your values.
Okay, so we've got the brand and positioning figured out. But how do you keep those customers coming back? That's where customer loyalty strategies come in.
Yeah. Customer loyalty is the holy grail. Loyal customers buy more. They become advocates for your brand. They give you feedback. It's invaluable.
But everyone has a rewards program these days. Does that stuff really work?
It can, if it's done right. It's not just about points and discounts. It's about building a real relationship with your customers, understanding what they need, and rewarding them in a way that feels personal.
Okay, so Starbucks rewards and their app.
Yeah.
What makes them so good?
Well, they use their app to gather data about what customers like.
Hmm.
This lets them tailor offers, recommend new drinks based on your past orders.
It's like having a personal barista in your pocket.
Exactly. That's the level of personalization that makes their loyalty programs stand out. They
Hmm.
make you feel like you're special, not just another number.
Okay, we've covered a lot: market penetration, branding, customer loyalty. But now I want to talk about some strategies that are a little more unconventional, like growth hacking. What is that?
It's a bit of a buzzword, but it came out of the startup world where you don't have a lot of resources and you need to grow fast.
Mm.
It's about being creative, finding those low-cost ways to get big results.
Okay, so it's like marketing, data analysis, and guerrilla tactics all rolled into one.
Yeah, you could say that. And one of the best examples is Airbnb's early growth. They did this really clever thing where they integrated their platform with Craigslist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so people could list their properties on both platforms at the same time.
So they leveraged Craigslist's existing user base.
That's smart. It was a classic growth hack. They found an opportunity to reach their target audience, and they did it in a cost-effective way.
And another example is Dropbox with their referral program. They gave you free storage if you referred your friends.
Right. It's all about word-of-mouth marketing. They incentivized their users to become advocates.
It's like turning your customers into your marketing team.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of growth hacking, finding those unconventional solutions and thinking outside the box.
So we've talked about hacking our way to growth, but what about a strategy that focuses on the product itself as the driver? That's product-led growth, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's about making a product so good, so user-friendly, so valuable that it practically sells itself.
Like the freemium model, right? Where you offer a basic version for free and then people can upgrade if they want more features.
Exactly. Slack is a perfect example of this.
Yeah, you start using it for free and then you're hooked.
Right. And before you know it, you're paying for those premium features because you can't live without them. They remove all the friction of a traditional sales process and let the product speak for itself. And it's not just Slack, Dropbox, Figma. They've all used this to shake up their industries.
It's about making the product so good that it creates its own demand.
Exactly.
Now, this one always feels a bit mysterious to me: viral marketing. It's not like you can just plan to go viral, right?
It's true. You can't force virality,
Yeah.
but you can try to understand the principles behind it and make content that has the potential to spread quickly.
So it's not just luck. It's about knowing how online sharing works and making content that taps into that.
Right. Think about those videos or memes that you just have to share with your friends. What makes them so compelling?
Well, they're usually funny or thought-provoking or sometimes even a little controversial.
Exactly. They make you feel something, and that makes you want to share them. and they're often easy to share on different platforms.
So it's not just about making great content, it's about how that content fits into the online world.
Exactly, and that's viral marketing, creating something that has the power to spread like wildfire.
Okay, now let's talk about a strategy that can completely change the game. Mergers and acquisitions. This is where the big players come in, right?
Yeah, it's definitely high stakes, lots of money, complex negotiations, but it could be a powerful way to grow, expand into new markets, or get your hands on some valuable technology.
Think about when Disney bought Marvel and Lucasfilm. That was huge.
Oh, yeah. It gave them this massive library of content that they could use for everything. Movies, theme parks, their streaming service, Disney Plus.
Okay, but don't these deals often fail? Aren't there some big downsides?
Yeah, for sure. Integrating two companies with different cultures, different ways of doing things, it can be really hard. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
So it's risky, but the rewards can be massive.
Exactly. Companies need to be really careful and really think things through before jumping into the world of mergers and acquisitions.
Hmm. Okay, we've covered a lot, from market penetration to mergers and acquisitions. But now let's shift gears a bit and talk about some strategies that are a little more foundational. Strategies that focus on building a sustainable business for the long term.
Yeah, I like that. Sometimes the most effective strategies are the ones that make your core business stronger. That creates a solid foundation for lasting growth.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive. We'll explore strategies like organic growth, the collaborative economy, and gamification.
Looking forward to it. There's so much more to uncover when it comes to building a successful business.
Welcome back to the deep dive. In the last part, we looked at some pretty bold strategies like venturing into new markets, diversifying, and even buying whole companies.
Right. Those can be really effective. But sometimes the best strategies are about building a strong base, like optimizing what you already have.
Exactly, like getting your house in order before you start adding on new rooms. So let's talk about some of those foundational strategies, starting with organic growth. What does that even mean?
Well, organic growth is all about growing from within. Focusing on improving your current business model, making things run smoother, and giving customers a better experience. It's less about flashy acquisitions or viral campaigns and more about building something sustainable.
Okay, I like that. It's like taking care of your garden, making sure the soil is healthy so everything can thrive.
That's a great analogy.
Hmm.
And a company that's a master of organic growth is IKEA. They are so focused on efficiency. Everything from those flat pack designs to their crazy store layouts.
Oh man, those store layouts. You either love them or hate them.
Right. But they're designed to keep people moving, and they're super effective. It helps them keep costs down and offer those low prices that everyone loves.
But IKEA isn't just about low prices. They're also really big on sustainability, right? All that renewable energy and responsible sourcing.
Absolutely. They've realized that being sustainable isn't just good for the planet. It's good for business, too. Customers are paying attention to that stuff now, and they want to support companies that share their values.
So it's like they're building a brand that's affordable, A&D responsible.
Exactly. It's a winning combination.
Another company that pops into my head when I think about organic growth is Zara. They've really changed the fashion industry with that fast fashion model.
Yeah, they have. They're all about being agile. They're constantly watching trends, getting designs into stores super fast, and they listen to customer feedback.
It's like they figured out how to make fast fashion that's actually good.
They have. And their organic growth strategy has made them a global force.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about the collaborative economy. I think most people know about Uber and Airbnb, connecting people with services and resources.
Yeah, those are great examples. But let's look at a company called BlaBlaCar.
BlaBlaCar, I'm not familiar with them. What do they do?
They basically connect drivers who have empty seats with people who need rides. It's like long-distance ride sharing.
Oh, so instead of driving alone, you can share a ride and split the cost.
Exactly. The win-win. Drivers can save money, passengers get a cheaper ride, and it's better for the environment.
I love that. It's a great way to use those resources that would otherwise be wasted. Now let's talk about gamification. It sounds like something out of a video game.
It kind of is. It's about taking those elements that make games so addictive, points, badges, leaderboards, and using them in other contexts like work education, even fitness.
So it's like taking the fun stuff from games and applying it to real life.
Right. And Nike is a company that does this really well with their Nike Run Club app.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about that. I tried it for a while, but I'm not the most consistent runner.
Well, that's where gamification can really shine. The app isn't just about tracking your runs. It's got challenges, rewards, and social features. It makes you want to keep going.
It's like having a virtual running buddy who's always cheering you on. But how do they know if it's working? Is it just about downloads?
It's more than that. Nike looks at things like how often people use the app, how active they are. They want to make running more fun and engaging.
So the more you use it, more you enjoy it, and the more you run. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And that's the power of gamification. It can
Okay.
make something that feels like a chore into something you actually look forward to.
Okay, let's move on to a strategy that's crucial for any business these days. Growth through digital marketing.
This is a huge topic, and it's always changing, but the key is to understand that we're moving away from traditional marketing, which was all about interrupting people and giving everyone the same message. It's about using data to understand your customers and personalize your marketing.
So it's like tailoring the message to each individual person.
Exactly. Like HubSpot. They're all about inbound marketing, attracting customers with valuable content, and building a community around their brand.
In Glossier, they're amazing at building online communities. Their fans aren't just buying stuff, they're helping to shape the brand.
Right. It's digital marketing done, right?
Yeah.
It's about creating real connections and a sense of belonging. It's about relationships, not just
Hmm.
transactions. It's about
Mm.
relationships, not just pushing transactions.
Yeah, I'm noticing a theme here. A lot of what we've talked about comes down to understanding your audience, building that trust and making those real connections.
You got it. Whether it's
Mm.
market penetration branding, even growth hacking,
Hmm.
it all comes back to knowing your customer and creating something that really resonates with them.
Now you've got all this expertise in market expansion. So I got to ask, with all these different strategies, how does a company figure out which ones are right for them? It's got to feel overwhelming.
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's no easy answer. It really depends on a bunch of things. The industry, the target audience, their resources, how much risk they're willing to take, even their overall goals.
So there's no magic formula, no one-size-fits-all solution.
Nope, it's more like having a big toolbox and knowing which tool to use for the job.
Mm.
Sometimes it might be best to focus on organic growth, like slowly building up your business from the inside out.
Right, like IKEA with their focus on efficiency and being sustainable.
Exactly. But sometimes you need a bolder move like a merger or an acquisition to grow quickly or get ahead of the competition.
Or maybe you need to get creative with growth hacking to stand out in a crowded market.
You got it. The key is to be flexible. Analyze the market, know your strengths and weaknesses, and be willing to try new things.
So it's about always paying attention to what's happening around you and then choosing the strategies that make sense for your goals and your situation.
Exactly. And don't forget, market expansion is an ongoing thing. It's not a one-time event. It's a constant journey of growing, adapting, and innovating.
This has been such a great deep dive. I feel like I've got a much better grasp on all the different ways companies can grow and expand.
Glad to hear it. And remember, the most important thing is to be strategic. Be creative,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to be bold.
Well said. And for those of you listening, remember this deep dive was just the start. We've given you a taste of what's out there. Now it's up to you to take these ideas and see how they fit into your own world.
Keep exploring those strategies that really resonated with you and never stop learning.
You never know, maybe someday we'll be featuring your company as a success story in a future deep dive.
That's a great goal.
It is. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another exciting exploration.